Hi, welcome to the 12th House podcast. I'm Michelle Palazon-Lipsitz, your co-host and the head witch in charge here at Holisticism, and I'm delighted that you're here with me today on the 12th House. If you're an OG, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, welcome. At Holisticism, we help creative, intuitive people embody their sacred work. Casual. And we do that through, honestly, a lot of different shit. From the spiritual to the esoteric, the mystical, the magical, and also like the practical, tactical business stuff that you need to know. And that's what we explore here on the 12th House podcast. So we talk about everything from self-knowledge to mysticism to spirituality to astrology to human design to intuitive business, marketing, sales, creative practices, everything you could possibly need to have in your toolkit to help you embody what you're here to do, your sacred work, capital S, capital W. You know, that crazy stuff. And I'm really happy that you're here. You really picked a banger of an episode to join in on, so welcome. I'm going to jump in. We're talking about growth edging today. Growth edging as a concept came up as most wonderful things do at Holisticism when Wallace and I were fucking around and just having a silly, goofy time. We were thinking about what our North Noders need. Our North Node community is a group of people who are intuitive creators and entrepreneurs. We love them. We're obsessed with them. Actually, doors are opening to North Node in June. If you want to join, it's awesome. It's basically like intuitive business school, and it's great. But we were thinking about what our North Noders needed, and we were hearing the most sort of like resistance or struggle from a lot of our members. And something that comes up pretty consistently, and at least for North Node members, is being seen. And being seen comes up, let's be real, like at any iteration of your business, from when you first get started to when you're making millions of dollars and like you're in front of lots of people. It gets easier in a way, but it also kind of changes that like anxiety or that challenge of being seen. And I think that it comes up a lot because of the time and space that we live in, obviously. I feel like I need to like backtrack a little bit and just loop you in on my personal philosophy, which is I believe that we all chose in our no time zone before we were born what we wanted to do, experience, and learn in these little human vessels in our short period on Earth, relatively, right? A short period of time. So I believe that we were like, I want to learn X, Y, and Z thing. I want to experience this. Maybe we even pick some of the people that we want to experience that with. If you've read Carolyn Miss's Sacred Contracts, I vibe with that. And then we come down here, we shoot out of our mother's womb, out into the world, little like naked potatoes, and we totally forget that that's what we signed up for. And sometimes the things that we signed up for, they were like, I want to learn this, are the most challenging for us and like the things that we hold the most resistance against. And other times, the things that we signed up for are the things that we also desperately want the most. It's kind of like, it's a both and situation. I also am a huge, obviously, proponent of astrology. And in astrology, your North Node and your South Node, they inform you about your destiny. That's why we named the North Node the North Node. Your North Node tells you what your potential is to embody in this life. And your South Node is the exact opposite on the wheel, the astrological wheel or the zodiac wheel. And that's what you've done in your past life, what you've mastered, what you know. Think of it as like your energetic muscle memory. So, for example, I'm a Virgo South Node and a Pisces North Node, which means that my muscle memory energetically is Virgo. When I'm not being conscientious or conscious, I'm like, I am rigid. I am stressed. I'm perfectionist. I'm also like very diligent. I'm really good at stuff. I tend to not be very patient with people who I need to teach and who aren't good at the things that I'm good at. That's my muscle memory. That's like where I feel comfortable and where I can operate very easily without thinking, right? My North Node in Pisces is the opposite of that. I am supposed to not be, too intellectual. I got to listen to my intuition and my emotions and tap into my empathy and my watery vibes, and I have a lot of Pisces in my chart. So it was like, someone was like, I'm going to bang that Pisces into her, whether she likes it or not. So that's what I'm aspiring to. That's what I'm practicing. That comes up in my life the most, constantly as lessons and things that I'm trying to do. And where my most joy and also the most pain or the most stress comes up for me is embodying that Pisces North Node. So with that being said, I think we choose where we're born, why we're born, and what we're born into. And there's a reason that we all were born into the age of the internet, my homies. Like, we could have, think about it. Just think about it. Even if you were born like 20 years earlier, you wouldn't be using the internet the way that you use it now. And you wouldn't be expected to be seen the way that we, and have access to being seen the way that we do now. We can literally press a button that says publish on a book we've written, on a story, on a poem, on a video, on a piece of art that we've made, on our thoughts, on 180 characters of a joke, and millions or billions of people can see it. Literally in a second. There's no barrier to entry there, really. And no other time has that been the case. Like Leonardo da Vinci, I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, this guy, this fucking guy, he probably was like, yeah, like in my life, maybe like 300 people are going to see my stuff. Like most of my stuff, like, you know, my paintings of like, I don't know, baronesses in their home, like maybe their entire family will see that painting. But like, you'd think about all the hoops that you'd have to jump through to see the original Mona Lisa. Okay. Like that was just hanging out in somebody's house. So you'd have to like trot on over on your horse to their estate and then like go up into their house and not get the plague and see it. But like, you weren't going just to see it. You were going to like, I don't know, eat a turkey leg there. I'm obviously being hyperbolic, but you get what I'm saying. Leonardo da Vinci was not like, oh my God, 1 billion people are going to see this picture. I better make it so good. He was just like, I got to make this thing. And like, I really hope the 12 people that see it like it. But really, at no other time has there been such pressure on artists and creators to make their work be seen by other people. And it's also, I think, the gift of this time. Yes, we could absolutely hang out in our little hobbit holes in our houses, in our apartments, in our gardens, in our garages, in our caves and make our work and never show it to anyone. Like that could totally be it, right? But why would we be born now? Maybe is my question. Why now? Why did I choose now? Did I choose now to live an ascetic life and hide my art and my brilliance away from the world? I don't know, man. I feel like that's a tough sell for me, but I'm open to it. If you can sell me on that, I'm open to listening. But I think for most of us, we're here to show and be seen and see others. And that is really dysregulating and can be very triggering. This class, growth edging, when Wallace and I were talking about it, of course, I'm sure you've heard coaches and, you know, advisors tell you that the most change happens when you're at your growth edge. So when you're just beyond the bounds of what you're comfortable with and what you're good at, that's when exponential change can happen, not just in your brain, but also in your life and in your skills. Like your ability to up level or collapse a timeline, it happens outside of your comfort zone. It happens at that growth edge. And the more you can push your growth edge, the quicker things are going to happen for you. Because you'll be forced to go through it, right? To stand at the edge is like it requires energy. Think about it, standing at the growth edge or existing on a growth edge. It's almost like you're balancing in a place. To stand back from the growth edge, that doesn't require very much energy. So we're going to like flex our energetic muscles the most when we're at our growth edge. Now, with that being said, you don't always have to be there. Like you might want to take a nap. You might want to take a little break. That's okay. Just remember that the biggest changes are going to happen there. When you're like, damn, I want things to happen fast. I want to make a quantum leap. I want to collapse the timeline. Go to the growth edge. And we often say here that to make a gigantic move, to make a quantum leap, we have to make paradoxical moves. We have to make paradoxical choices, which means we have to do things differently or see things differently than how we've seen them in the past. We need to have a new worldview that maybe is like the polar opposite of the worldview that we've embodied up until now. Maybe not. And sometimes like a paradoxical move can be like going from being a brunette your entire life to being a platinum blonde, right? That's a paradoxical move. You're going to definitely experience and see the world differently. Other times it's just learning a new piece of information and then deciding to implement it. Maybe it's embodying an archetype and asking yourself, okay, instead of what would Michelle do today, what would a $1 billion founder do today? And doing it. And then you become inevitably that person. That's archetype embodiment. We have a couple episodes about that. We'll put them in the show notes. But when it comes to growth edging, it's a class that we ended up teaching inside of the North Node and that we're actually offering for the first time ever outside of the North Node in our creative marketing expansion pack bundle, which is going to go live on May 17th. It's a series of 3 classes and 3 gigantic Notion templates that were originally in the North Node and no one else had access to, but we're going to unlock them from the vault, and they're going to be available for about a week for anyone who wants to buy them. And one of the classes is growth edging. Inside of growth edging, we talk about a lot. We talk about how to write and communicate in a way that's effective, magical, and fun, how to understand who your ideal client is and the voice of your ideal client, and how to basically be endlessly creative, which sounds like a lot, but it's like copywriting on steroids in a good way. Like it's copywriting on adaptogens. It's like, if steroids could be good, what are they? It's copywriting on adaptogens, baby. It's going to help you move from your comfort zone to your quantum leap zone and also give you this just wellspring of resources to make your most inspired, impassioned, brilliant, intuitive, creative work, which arguably is why you're here, right? It's like literally why you're on this planet. So if you are a person who probably could benefit from growth edging, that means that you are potentially struggling with this being seen thing, right? The showing up thing. And that could mean that like, yeah, you show up like on Instagram and you send your weekly email and blah, blah, blah. But like something's holding you back. Maybe there's some resistance. Maybe there's some fear. Maybe you're not totally showing up as yourself, or you don't feel like you can show up as yourself. And as a result, you're not seeing the results. You're not seeing conversions. Your business isn't growing, or you're not getting recognized the way that you want to be recognized. And I think the one thing that really holds people back from being seen is that we're not willing to let other people love us back. Like, to be seen and known, we have to be willing to let people in, right? We have to be willing to let people love us and also potentially hate us, right? But we have to we can't kind of have it willy-nilly in the middle. And we also can't actually love our customers, our clients, our people that we serve if we don't let them love us back. We can't love someone, your user, who is the hero of your story, the people that you're here to help. We can't really love them if we don't let them love us back, or at least give them the option to love us back. And the thing is, people are dying to love you. They are dying to love you. They really are. They're so ready to be your biggest fan, to know you, to be up in your brain, up your butt, And our content, in particular, how we communicate our message, is what allows people to get to know us and to truly love us. So if you're afraid of being seen, there's a really good chance that unconsciously you're muddying your message. You're muddying up your communication. You're obfuscating the opportunity to be loved by the people around you and by the people that you're here to help. And that might not be ooh, I'm going to act like a totally different person, but it can be a lack of clarity or a lack of consistency. And that's why every time we show up in somebody's inbox, on their IG feed, in an event description, we got to do it completely. We can't half-ass it. We have to whole-ass it, Put your pussy in it, To show up with anything less than our wholeness would be to say that the people that we're talking to or that we're reaching that we love, right? Our customer, our client, person that we serve is not worth our time, and they're not worth our consideration because we just fired this email off. They're not worth a second glance or a second thought. And I know that's not true. At least I know that's not how you feel, right? You're not a phone it in person, especially not with the people that you love. You're a whole ass person, That couldn't be further from the truth for us. So because you love them, you want to solve their problems. You want to tell them things that they don't already know. You want to provide value to them, not just filler or blah, blah content. You want to listen to what's said and what's also unsaid by that person. You want to make them feel heard. You want to see the big picture. And you want to feel into the unspoken that's between the two of you, or many of you. When you make things from this perspective, you're not just making more noise in someone's life, which is what, let's be real, a lot of the internet is. It's just more noise. that distracts us from our intuition and our purpose and what we're here to do with stuff like, well, you need this and you need to look like this and you'll be happy if you buy this thing. And if you fill your face with this filler, then like you'll get what you want and like do whatever you want. But like that's not going to get you to your sacred work. It can be a fun distraction on the way to our sacred work. No shade, but that's not what it's about. So when you show up with your full ass, you're not making more noise in people's life. You're making their life even more rich and more fun and more exciting. You're providing them an opportunity to fall in love and be loved in return. And when you do this, you could never possibly be annoying to the people who are here to love you. You just couldn't. You can't. It's impossible. They will crave hearing from you. They'll be refreshing their feeds frantically. Like, oh my God, where's the juice? Where's the next post? Where's the story? I want to know everything that this person is doing. Where's my email from them? I want to know. And that's our goal, right? We want to be bingeable. We want to be like voraciously consumed. And we want to voraciously consume too. Because business is just like that, is a consumption circle or consumption cycle, right? To consume and be consumed. That's why like we don't need to be worried about taking money for our services, especially when we're in alignment, we're ethical, we're operating in integrity with our whole ass. Because that cycle of consumption to consume and be consumed is natural. It's everywhere. It's part of life. So yes, we consume part of someone when we take money from them, but they're also consuming part of us when they take in our content or they take in our knowledge. They're consuming it. There's a reason we call it content consumption, right? Today's podcast episode is sponsored by Oura Ring. Oura Ring is a health and wellness tracker that is chic, it is cool, and honestly, it makes me feel really good about myself. In my experience as a wellness obsessee for many, many years, most of the fitness trackers or wellness trackers that I've used actually made me feel unwell. And the Oura Ring doesn't do that, which I love. I started using my Oura Ring when I found out I was pregnant, and I literally felt like I was an alien living inside of a human body. I had no idea really like how to establish a baseline for how I was doing on a day-to-day basis. My body was changing. I wasn't moving as much as I was used to. I couldn't exercise in the ways that I loved to. And I was super sick for like the first 7 months of being pregnant. And having an Oura Ring just honestly gave me the baseline of how my sleep was, how I was recovering, and how much I was moving every single day. Made a really big difference in not only my mental health, but my physical health. I can't say enough great things about Oura Ring. In fact, I've bought them for like many people in my life because I love them so, so much. And I'm elated that they're sponsoring this podcast for the next month. I think that now is one of the best times that you can go try Oura Ring if you're interested. From May 4th to May 14th, Oura Ring is running a Mother's Day promo, and select styles are up to $50 off, which is a really sweet deal. I have the plain circular gold band, and I love it. It looks very chic. You can't even tell that it's like a wellness tracker. It looks really cool. I like it a lot. And if you're anything like me, you're someone who trusts their body, trusts their intuition, but also loves information and views intuition as information just as much as analytics, I think you'll really love the Oura Ring in your life. Not only is the actual hardware incredible, but the software is amazing. The app has built-in meditations, movement, mindfulness exercises. It's so supportive in helping round out your holistic health. So go check out auraring.com/holisticism and save $50 on your Oura Ring from now until May 14th. So, how do we make what we do bingeable, exciting, delicious, inspiring? How do we make it so that it adds even more richness and value to someone's life as opposed to just more noise, especially when we're communicating about ourselves? I'm going to go back always to copy and copywriting. As you know, I am an absolute just truth teller for copywriting. I think that it's the most valuable skill that you can have in your toolkit, especially as ChatGPT gets more popular, because ChatGPT does not copyright. ChatGPT is incredible and AI is incredible, but does it write compelling copy? 100% no. even when you give it a lot of directives, as I have. I really experimented with it, and I have never had it write something better than someone who used the 7 frames of interesting writing could write. And that's what I'm going to tell you about. And that's more what we teach inside of this class at Growth Edging. So the 7 frames for interesting writing, and we could even say just like interesting creation, are story, surprise, specificity, structure, action, cadence, and hyperbole. That's a lot of stuff. But you don't need to apply every frame to what you're writing or what you're making. However, it's nice to run through these frames and ask yourself, is there a way I can add this in? Is there a way I can apply this? Is there a way I can make this happen? If not, that's okay. But I bet that at least one frame of interesting creation, of interesting writing will work for you. Let's throw the rest away. Surprise, specificity, structure, action, cadence, and hyperbole. And let's stick with story. So story. We've talked about the moment of highest tension here. The moment of highest tension in copywriting is that moment where your user goes from the stages of awareness, the problem aware to solution aware, where they make the jump, they bridge the gap from complaint into action. And the moment of highest tension, when we're talking about it to our users or we're inspiring our users to take action, is typically a story. It's typically a snapshot in time that shows them the straw that broke the camel's back. For example, maybe you're a relationship coach, okay? And instead of saying, never be taken for granted again in a relationship or while you're dating, hire me as your coach. That's fine, whatever. Instead of saying that, what if you said something like, you're on the 3rd nondescript bar of the week. You're sitting at the counter. It's 7:23. You're stirring a $19 bespoke cocktail that kind of tastes bad, that you didn't really want. And the rage that's bubbling up inside of your stomach is palpable. Because yet again, you have wasted your time on someone who does not see you and appreciate you. You've wasted a full face of makeup, a cute outfit, nice fancy ass deodorant, and an Uber ride to meet someone at this shitty ass bar with these expensive cocktails who's gonna inevitably stand you up. And even if they don't stand you up, they're gonna be 25 minutes late without texting or calling or letting you know. Let's be real. You don't want someone who is that thoughtless. Instead of saying to yourself, I guess I have to just quit dating because this is the state of the world. What if you made a pact to never allow that to happen to you again and to start dating differently? Okay. I'm pulling that out of my butt, so it's not the best example. But do you see, obviously, other than my intonation, how different and also how visceral the story is? How you feel that rage and that anger and that frustration. You can relate, and you can also see in your own life, like, oh my God, yeah, why am I allowing for that? Why am I wasting good makeup and a cute outfit and shaving my legs for a person who does not deserve it? And why do I keep making the same mistake over and over again? Rather than what we started with, which is like basically that word for word, right? But less compelling. Because as humans, we hold on to story, right? That's why myth is so important. That's why we have the Bible, dude. Like, the Bible is full of stories, full of parables, right? If it was just full of psalms and like, I don't know, commandments, then it would be a lot harder to remember. For example, we're not like, oh yeah, God is vengeful and angry. Like, okay, whatever. But we are like, oh my God, do you remember when God was like, I need to read it. I'm just going to like start over, except for you, Noah, like you can stay and like bring the animals with you. That was so hardcore and mean. Like, that was so scary. That was a vengeful God. God was salty AF, kind of scary. We remember that because of the story. I mean, and old T God was like really intense, and new T God, because of the story that is in the New Testament, like, oh yeah, I relate to this God in a different way. They represent something differently. I can see that through the story. story is so important. It's what we hold on to. So if you can integrate story, even in small ways, to what you're delivering to your user, your customer, your client, number one, it's going to make your stuff way stickier. But number two, it's going to make what you offer them so much more rich because they'll be able to relate to it. I may not be able to relate to the idea of being single and going on shitty dates, although I totally can. But let's say that I've never had that experience before, but I bet you can identify with the experience of having people not treat you the way you want to be treated and to being taken advantage of or taken for granted. And that's actually really what we're trying to do. We're trying to relate to people as much as we can. And interestingly enough, story and specificity can actually make us more relatable, not less relatable or more narrow. Interesting, right? The other frames of interesting writing, surprise, specificity, structure, action, cadence, hyperbole, are equally, if not more valuable than story, especially in this modern time where we only have a few seconds maybe of somebody's attention. And you have to use that to your advantage because, again, this is like an amazing experience to allow someone to be loved and love you in return, like showing up for your business, showing up for people. I just think that's so cool. Like, that's what we're here to do. You know what I mean? Not to make it all like, it ain't that deep, but kind of is deep if you think about it. Then that's really what a business is, or at least for me, like I think what business teaches us. It gives us the opportunity to flex on these spiritual experiences and lessons that we came here to go through in a fun, cute, cozy way. Sometimes not fun and cute and cozy. Sometimes really hard and challenging, but it allows us to put into practice what we've previously made theoretical. Every time you sit down to write, and I know we've gone over this already in this series of copywriting, every time you sit down to make something that's going to go out to your customer, are you giving it your full ass? Because if you're not, you're basically saying, I don't think you're worthy of my time, and I don't think you're worthy of my attention. And I know that's not what you want to message people, and I know that's not how you feel. So ask yourself, am I giving this, am I approaching this from the most loving and attentive place? And that doesn't mean you got to make more stuff. It doesn't mean that you have to show up every single day 24/7. It just means that when you do, you are giving your full undivided attention. You're giving all of you as opposed to a sliver. Don't be afraid of being consumed. It's a natural part of this process, and you are infinitely regenerative. You won't be consumed until you disappear, because in healthy relationships, in the consumption cycle, we are consuming and being consumed at the same time. So we are regenerating ourselves as we're consumed by somebody else, which means that we never have to worry about burning out or like fading away or being destroyed. Destroyed's a like heavy term, but I think you get what I'm saying. Okay. I think I'm going to leave you with that. It's always like weird when I'm by myself because I'm like, okay, anyways, here's this thing. Bye. But I think that's a lot to chew on. And I want you to think more about how you can use story today in something that you write. It can be a story as small as, oh my God, I dropped the eggs that I was scrambling on the ground and my dog ate them before I could even pick them up. And how that connects to, I don't know, what you're trying to talk about to your people today. But I want you to use some story, even if it's a 1-sentence story, a 2-sentence story, a 3-sentence story. Go for it. It's going to be fun. I guarantee it. It'll make the process more interesting, at least for you. And if you found this delightful, encouraging, useful, I would definitely recommend adding yourself to the waitlist for the Creative Marketing Expansion Pack. It's a series, like I said, of 3 courses that were taught exclusively in the North Node, plus 3 gigantic Notion templates that'll help you get unstuck and level up when it comes to your marketing. Your copywriting will level up, your email marketing will level up, and your sales will level up. Those are the 3 things that we work on in the Creative Marketing Expansion Pack. So if you're ready to take any of those parts of your business to the next level, sign up for the waitlist. You'll actually get 10% off and you'll get early access to the course. It's going to be really fun. All right. I think that's all I have for you this week. I'll see you on Friday for our Friday Philo or Friday Philosophies. Philo is like Philo dough. I probably shouldn't call it Friday Philo, but I just want to abbreviate everything. You know what I mean? It's a personal problem. I got to work on it. Anyways, I'll see you on Friday. It's going to be a really fun one and you're the best. You're a genius. Go do your thing, give it your full ass, and I'll see you on the internet. Okay, bye.
Twelfth House is produced by yours truly, Wallace Miller Blanchard. Our theme music is made by Nathan McKay, and our wonderful editing is done by Softer Sound Studios, who you can find more information about in our show notes.